Welcome back, Defenders. Let's start with the top story from yesterday. Alexander Usyk brutally knocks out Daniel Dubois to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. This is a big deal. Even if you don't care about sports, you don't care about boxing, this man has become a symbol for a nation at war. When he wins, Ukrainians believe they can win as well. This was a huge boost to national morale. And I can share with you this photograph of frontline Ukrainian soldiers watching the fight live on a projector screen, probably using Starlink. This is incredible. And when the fight was over, while Ukrainian cities are being bombed, people were celebrating. There's a curfew, so you can't be out at nights, but people are yelling from their windows to celebrate their champion. Usyk. Usyk. For fun, here's one more video of Usyk and his team celebrating their victory after the fight. He now has 4 championship belts, and that is very impressive for a man who is 38 years old. At 38, he's the best he's ever been. I'm not even a boxing fan, and I was very impressed by his knockouts and just in general how he carries himself. During his victory speech, he thanked every Ukrainian defender, saying he wouldn't be able to do this without their sacrifice on the front lines. He is their champion, but he fights for them. He fights for Ukraine. Let's get to the bad news for Russia. Russia is burning the candle at both ends. Bankers quietly brace for bailouts. Russia's top financial execs reportedly say that fear is growing of a debt crisis. Russia's largest banks exploring bailouts as bad loans continue to grow. This is according to Bloomberg. At least 3 of Russia's largest banks are quietly preparing to ask the central bank for a bailout if more borrowers are unable to repay their loans over the next year. Russian central bank data says that overdue loans have reached 10% of households and 4% of businesses in the first quarter of 2025. While those figures still suggest overall resilience in the banking sector, some state bank executives have publicly warned that the share of bad loans could dramatically rise in the coming months. This is the data for the first quarter, and I don't trust any of the data coming out of Russia. But everything is getting worse. Interest rates are still over 20%, and really, the money is running out. The national wealth fund that Putin was depleting to fight this war and keep everyone happy, Russia can't do that forever. So Russia's central bank is just going to start printing money. They're going to print massive amounts of money in order to bail out banks and bail out companies. And Russia's inflation is already 10% basically year over year. And usually when you print money, things get worse. And it's not just the banks, it's every industry in Russia. Russia plans an $800 million aid package for its struggling coal industry. The Russian government has prepared an $802 million support package to help the country's coal sector weather sanctions, falling prices, and export hurdles. But this is every sector. This is literally every sector in Russia is under financial duress and is going to need a bailout unless everything just goes bankrupt. Here's a headline. Russia moves to allow tax debt collection without court approval. Russian lawmakers have approved legislation that will allow tax authorities to recover debts directly from citizens' bank accounts without a court order. So the tax collectors in Russia can now seize your money at any time, and you have no oversight. There's no judge, there's no court order. Any money you keep in a bank account can be taken by a bureaucrat somewhere at any time for any reason. That doesn't sound good. I wouldn't like that if I was a Russian citizen. So we can go through the headlines. All the financial signs are there. All of the economic indicators are flashing red. On top of this, we have public officials making statements. Russia's finance minister, their central bankers, they're all screaming that Russia's economy is in trouble. And Putin doesn't want to stop the war. Putin wants to keep going. So now is the time to drop the hammer, guys. Keep up the sanctions, we need more sanctions. EU cracks down on Russia with 18th sanctions package. Oil price cap has been cut to $45. Here is the Vice President of the European Commission, this is Kallas. We are standing firm. The EU just approved one of its strongest sanctions packages against Russia to date. We're cutting the Russians' war budget further, going after 105 more Shadow Fleet tankers, their enablers, and limiting Russian banks' access to funding. Something like 20 Russian banks were just officially now kicked out of the SWIFT network. The Nord Stream pipeline is officially banned. Germany agreed to this. A lower oil price cap, $45. We are putting more pressure on Russia's military industry. Chinese banks, this is a big one. For the first time, the EU has sanctioned Chinese banks for helping to circumvent sanctions, as well as blocking tech exports used in drones. For the first time, we're designating a flag registry and the biggest Rosneft refinery in India. So this is about potentially putting pressure on India and China to put pressure on Russia to try and stop this war. EU agrees on one of its strongest Russian sanctions packages after Slovakia lifts their veto. So why did Fico do it? Why did Fico finally drop his veto of this sanctions package? And this is what he says. At this point, dear friends, it would be counterproductive to continue blocking the 18th sanctions package tomorrow. All negotiation options have been exhausted for now, and holding on to our blocking position would start to endanger our interests. I'm speaking openly about this, and I know what I'm talking about. As I said a few days ago, if you want to live among wolves, you must be one of them. We simply must survive this dark period of this international organization, which we consider our living space, while preserving our position within the EU. Slovakia, if you want to leave the EU, just leave. You can leave for any reason you want, at any time. Nobody cares. That is why I've instructed our representatives in the EU to clear the way for the 18th sanctions package tomorrow. But immediately after that, the second phase of our battle with the European Commission over Russian gas will begin. If all of this fails, I say with a smile on my face, Brussels bureaucrats detached from reality are already eagerly working on yet another pointless package, the 19th, which, just like the others, will change nothing about Russia's stance, but will still require unanimity, meaning Slovakia's vote. Every time the European Union has to vote on something, every member has to vote in favor. And every time, Viktor Orban in Hungary and now Fico in Slovakia basically have to be bought off. The European Union has to give them money or an increased budget to get them to cooperate on anything. And I'm not European, guys. I shouldn't be talking about European politics, but I hate this guy. He's terrible. What is Russia's reaction to being sanctioned by Europe yet again? Russian attacks against Ukraine kill 7, injure at least 28 over the past day. Terrorism. This is the only thing that Russia is good at. Terrorizing women and children, trying to sleep in their bed every night. On the night of the 19th, Russia launched 379 drones and missiles. Ukraine's air defenses did the best they could. But this is every night. Russia's ground forces can't advance. Russia wants some kind of symbolic victory that they can show their people they're doing something. And this is just insane. every single night. And something big might be coming. Russia may launch 2,000 drones at a single time in a massive attack on Ukraine, a German general has warned. So these attacks, this is only 379. What is Russia's daily production rate? And it's possible for like 2 weeks they're going to do a reduced amount, 300 or so a night. They're saving up inventory to have one massive attack. Try and do 1,000 a night, 2,000 a night. Anytime they do this, it gets Russians excited. You know, terrorism is exciting for them. And they're feeling pretty bold about their air campaigns. Russian state TV ran this segment yesterday showing the inside of their drone factory in Tatarstan. Ukraine has bombed this place several times, but perhaps they haven't hit the main factory floor, and Russia just repairs it and then continues building drones. So this is RT. Yes, I guess I'll link this clip down below, but this is the inside of their Alabaguga factory in Tatarstan. This is where they produce their new Garon jet-powered drones. I can skip forward a little bit so you can see the scale of this place, and it probably runs around the clock. It probably continues operations 24 hours a day. Yes, there are probably skilled technicians overseeing everything, but Russia is just trying to import any labor they can find to have them work in this factory. And this is how they launch the drones. The Russians are feeling so confident in themselves, they put out this video. These Shahed drones don't have takeoff or landing gear, so they have to be launched somehow. And I don't know why, but Russia decided to reveal how they launch these drones, and they basically just put them on the back of a pickup truck, and then they speed the truck as fast as possible until the Shahed is airborne. Once it's airborne, it has a preset flight path, I'm assuming, and this is stupid. This is incredibly stupid. And this is the peak of Western hypocrisy in a single picture. This is a Dodge Ram pickup truck, American-made, launching a Shahed kamikaze drone against Ukraine. And 90% of the chips and electronics in these drones come from Western companies, mostly Texas Instruments, Analog Devices, and AMD. Just one Garon 2 contains 55 components from the United States, 15 components from China, 13 components from Switzerland, and 6 components from Japan. And it's launched from an American truck. This is how Russia views themselves as being supreme to their neighbors. Wow. So here's the deal, guys, is I think Ukraine is actually very close to having a breakthrough in interceptor drone technology. It's a race against the clock to save lives. So Ukrainian defenders every night are modifying designs, printing new ones, and they're getting good. You need repetition, you need trial and error, you need to fail before you can come up with a successful drone that can knock these things out of the sky every single time. So these Garon 2 drones cost $35,000, and an interceptor drone potentially only $1,000. As soon as Ukraine can perfect this technology and mass produce this, then this factory is pointless. If Ukraine has to send 10 of these into the sky for $10,000, financially that's still worth it to shoot down a $35,000 drone. And as soon as this technology is proven, Russia can't do this anymore. And we can make these air attacks stop. We still have cruise and ballistic missiles. Those are $1 million each. But hopefully Ukraine has the air defense systems, the air defense missiles, to take down those cruise and ballistic missiles. Here's good news. According to Chancellor Merz, Ukraine to receive Patriots in the coming weeks. This was finally confirmed. Patriots are being reassigned to Kyiv. US redirects a Swiss-ordered air defense system to Ukraine. So a Patriot system being produced now was supposed to go to Switzerland at some point in the future when it's ready. What Germany is going to do is they're going to send one of their current systems to Ukraine, and then the next one produced off the assembly line is going to go to Germany. I think this is going to continue happening. The United States now officially is telling other countries who put in their orders 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you're going to be delayed. The priority is going to be for countries willing to send Patriots to Ukraine now. And then as soon as new Patriots are produced, those countries will be reimbursed. Let's do it. Washington moving with haste to arm Ukraine under Trump plan, according to Trump's U.S. envoy. This is the U.S. ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker. And no, it's not. The United States, at the moment, guys, is barely functioning. For the last 6 months, Trump and his goons ripped apart and disabled everything having to do with providing military aid to Ukraine. They fired a lot of people. They destroyed that ramp in Poland because Donald Trump was never planning on sending additional military aid. So some of this infrastructure has to be rebuilt. Some of these people have to be brought back, or new people brought in that are not idiots and they can actually handle this job. But we do have Donald Trump's cooperation. Trump is willing to do this, willing to sell weapons to European partners that will then be sent to Ukraine. And on that note, when Trump made this announcement that Europe would be buying American weapons, European countries didn't know that. So European countries such as France and Italy have announced they're not going to buy US weapons for Ukraine. They would rather use their money to purchase domestically from their own companies, send those weapons to Ukraine. That's fine. This can be completely voluntary. So if Germany or Denmark or the Netherlands or maybe Sweden wants to buy American weapons, Trump is willing to make this happen now. This is good news. US passes, this is the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. This is the annual military budget. And Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to write into the budget that no military weapons or aid could go to Ukraine. And this failed overwhelmingly. 76 Republicans voted in favor of the amendment, 141 voted against. So when Donald Trump is not applying pressure, Trump's position with his own party is basically neutral. If they want to support Ukraine, they can support Ukraine. If they want to repeat Kremlin propaganda, they can repeat Kremlin propaganda. Trump doesn't care at this point. But this is what these people actually believe. 76 don't like Ukraine. 141 House Republicans do support Ukraine. This has been the position the entire time. Let's get to the bad news for Russia. Ukrainian drones hit 8 Russian air defense radars and launchers near Donetsk. Ukraine's intelligence put out this compilation video of everything they've recently destroyed. And this is crazy. In this single video, it shows the destruction of 2 Nibium SV radars worth $200 million, 2 S-300 launchers worth $40 million, 3 Podlet K-1 radars worth $15 million, and 1 P-18 radar worth $4 million. In this single compilation video, it shows the destruction of $250 million worth of military equipment. $250 million just vanishing to some $1,000 FPV drones. Senior defense official jailed for 6 years over Russian military theme park fraud. I think this might be my favorite fraud case because just look at this guy. A military court on Wednesday sentenced a former senior defense ministry official, Vladimir Shesterov, to 6 years in prison for large-scale fraud tied to state contracts for Russia's military theme park. They're accusing him of stealing basically $500,000 worth of construction funds. But this is Patriot Park. This is outside of Moscow. And this is one of the weirdest places I've seen in Russia because of the main cathedral for the Russian armed forces. They built a military church. This is a Russian Orthodox church that is military themed. This looks like some kind of villain lair, and if Russia wasn't such a crazy place, I'm sure they could film like a really cool movie scene or something here, but maybe someday I'll see it, after Russia collapses and a new state forms. Here's a crazy story. Water access in Russian-occupied Donetsk is being limited to once every 2 or 3 days. This is the Russian manager for the DPR, and he put out this public announcement that Donetsk doesn't have any water. Dear residents of Donetsk, today there is a critical situation with the water supply of our region. You can see it from the state of our reservoirs. The water levels fell to a critical point. The volume that we have is not enough for manufacturing, agriculture, but first of all, not enough to supply water to the residents of Donetsk. Because of this, the operation headquarters for water supply decided to change the water supply schedules in our settlements. In the coming days, Donetsk will switch to supplying water once every 3 days. Today, this is a forced measure that will allow us to use the resources that we have more rationally. We need to get through this heat and to try to create reserves to fill the heating systems in the autumn period. We understand that this will create additional difficulties, but right now we don't have any other choice. Without water, you can't cool anything. Without being able to cool something, you're not manufacturing, you're not growing, you're not heating or cooling. I saw this Telegram post. This is a resident of Donetsk expressing what it's like to live in the city now. In Donetsk, water comes once every 3 days. You can't flush the toilet. It's a common thing. People in Donetsk put a small bag in the toilet and then throw those bags, the normal ones, will throw them in the trash. Those that don't, throw them under their windows. Neighbors fight against this. I won't post the videos or photographs. The Russians in the occupied territories, they poop in bags. The civilians poop in bags, and then they throw them out their windows. Russian steel giant reports sharp output decline. Russia's second largest steel producer has reported a sharp drop in output, underscoring the growing pressure of the country's steel industry. The numbers are steel production fell 18% year over year, and pig iron output dropped 9%. Your steel production is weak, Russia. It's weak. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine, and the Abrams tanks sent by Australia have officially arrived in Ukraine. The last update was they were at the Polish border, and they're now in the custody of Ukraine's military. Thank you so much, Australia. Ammo shipments to Ukraine arranged by the Czechs is actually on the rise, according to Prague. Thank you so much to the Czechs. France to train more Ukrainian pilots on the Mirage fighter jets. Thank you so much to the French. I think these Mirage jets are going to arrive pretty soon. Here's an update on the channel Fundraiser. This is the 5th one we've done with the guys of the NAFO 69th Sniffing Brigade. I put out the Fundraiser launch video yesterday, so I give more information in detail. Check it out. I'll link it down below. And in the first day, guys, like the first 30 or so hours, this YouTube community has fundraised $285,000. I can probably hit refresh, and it's now over 300 grand. Do you know any other YouTube communities as amazing as this one that can fundraise $300,000 in a single day? Thank you. I just appreciate each and every one of you guys. This is incredible that I'm able to do this. If you're on the fence whether or not you want to donate, let me share with you one of the units that will be receiving a van from us. This is the 424th Separate Battalion of the Unmanned Systems, Svarog, and this is the video they made for our channel asking for help.
We are the warriors of Svarog, the 44th Battalion of the Unmanned Systems Forces. We thank our fellows from NATO and ask for help in getting a van. We need it for aerial scouting missions and drone fire support for frontline units fighting the enemy. With this vehicle, we will be able to act faster and do our task more effectively. It will help us destroy enemy forces and save the lives of our brothers in arms. Our mission is to see, understand, warn, and strike before the enemy does. The modern war has new rules. The faster you move, the more you win. Whoever controls the sky controls the battle. We are the sons of our land, and we strike the invader from the air and in the ground. Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes.
So let's get this hero a van. A lot of drone units and medical units want vans instead of pickup trucks for the space. And if you can kick in 5 or 10, if you're financially able to, I really appreciate it. But if you're not, you're still part of this channel, you're still part of this fundraiser. If you can like, comment, share, subscribe, it all helps out. Let's do one more video, and let's show a Ukrainian defender going through some kind of training. And in his full uniform with his weapon, he's being expected to jump in this pool and go for a swim. I'd give it a try. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.